and welcome back to the Fairglen Sugar Shack. And this next video is going to give you a tour of what is inside. Let's go. Hey, are you sleeping on the job?
No. Huh? I got the wood. We're good.
Alright, Mike is hard at work at supervising the fire, keeping it loaded with wood. I'd like to introduce you to Mike. He's our executive chef over at Fairhavens.
That is I.
Basically, the recipe is pretty simple. All we're doing is taking the sap from the trees, boiling out the water, and keeping the sugar.
Good stuff.
Alright, I'm going to take you on a tour of how it's all connected. Follow me this way. This up here is our big sap barrel. And you saw in the first video us pouring the sap through the filter into the top tank. Then gravity takes it from the top tank through this pipeline behind me, and the pipeline goes down into this first float valve compartment. This first float valve controls how much sap is let into the back tank. Really important to control it so that we're not flooding or overflowing this back tank. And if you take a step back, you can see just how big this back pan is. There's lots of steam coming off of it. And this back pan is pretty fancy because this doesn't just have a flat bottom, but the actual surface area is increased by there being big waves in the bottom of the pan. And that just allows the fire and the heat really to come up inside the pan and just boil that much more efficiently. Can you still see me? My glasses are starting to fog up already from the steam. We're just going to let this front pan boil down, get sweeter, get sweeter. We're getting rid of that water, and you can see that all right now visually through all this steam. Up top we even have this big kind of gallery window that's opened up, and that just lets all the steam out of this building. Yeah, I can't even see anything right now. So much steam. It's good. It means we're getting our maple syrup going. Once it's pre-boiled in here, then it goes through this next float valve, and this next float valve controls how much of that pre-boiled sap is going through the U-pipe into our finishing pan up here in the front. And right now it's isolated, it's locked off, so we are actually just boiling down this front pan now to finish it and to fully turn it into maple syrup. The way we know that it's done is we actually use something called a hydrometer. I'm just going to grab it from over here. So this is our hydrometer. We fill it up with maple syrup, and this is the hydrometer that we set into the hot boiling maple syrup. Basically it's like a floating thermometer to test, see how sugary the maple syrup is. And next time, on the next video, we will show you how that works a little bit more. So back to our finishing pan over here. Once we know that it's done, there is a little nozzle here with a big handle, and we can actually pour off the maple syrup into a big bucket, and then we can bring that right back to the kitchen where we'll finish the next part of our maple syrup operation. Even though we filtered already 2 times, we still have to skim off from the back pan just to make sure that there's not big buildups of foam and that no more bits of leaves or anything are falling in there. So now this bucket is just like the ones on the trees outside that you saw in our first video. Now my question for you, we're going to do a little quiz here, is how many buckets of sap do you think it takes to make just 1 bucket of maple syrup? 2? No, way more than that. It takes a lot more than that. What's your next guess? 5? Nope, still much higher. 80. Well, closer, but not quite that high. And drum roll, the final answer is 40. It takes 40 of these buckets of sap boiled down in our evaporator here to make just 1 bucket of maple syrup. That's a lot of work. As you saw in our first video, it does take a lot of effort to collect all that sap to get it back here, and then we just have to continue doing the boil. So yeah, we'll keep that stocked up with wood and keep it going hot. We got lots of compartments of wood inside the sugar shack. Got to keep that fire well stoked. Nothing beats finishing a hard day's work, surrounded by a nice warm campfire, enjoying the beautiful smell of maple syrup cooking, and toasting some marshmallows. Thanks for joining us on this sweet outdoor creation experience.